Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker is finally out, and let me just say, it is a great expansion to play. It's got a lot of fun, really great content, and playing it on launch week was such a pleasure, so please enjoy my full review and playthrough of Endwalker. This is sorta new for me. I didn't really know how to start this video, but just know, things are rough out here. Once I got into the game after 4 hours, the first thing I did before any of the main story was go and try the new classes Reaper and Sage. Reaper has a cool scythe, and Sage has these things. Fundamentally, that's all you need to know to play them, but you know me, I go in depth, and using my YouTuber trademark creativity, I made a tier list, and Reaper and Sage are pretty fun. Reaper is a melee DPS with a lot of mobility, a wicked UI, and most importantly, it gets actually useful and fun abilities at low levels, so when you're playing bad dungeons designed by bad game designers and bad people, you can actually have fun in a video game. Wow! Sage is not something my feeble mind can understand. I tried reading this page on the Final Fantasy XIV official website, Real. Dubs semantics, the art seeks to heal and protect by manipulating corporeal ether through the use of Is that a slur? Overall, the new classes are really good, and the overall combat changes are even better. You can now use projectiles without interrupting your combos, combo times are longer, and numbers have been squished without affecting game balance. These things are especially good for me, still playing Gunbreaker because I'm suffering from unspecified disorders and hate change. Gunbreaker has been blessed with a 3rd cartridge slot and a 1200 potency AoE. For those of you without an intense knowledge of MMORPGs, that is very strong. I can feel the anorexic gamer e-boys who play inferior tanks salivating at the mouth like animals, which brings me to our first dungeon where these gameplay changes can really shine. You might be wondering why I'm here, and I don't know. I've skipped literally every single cutscene up until this point, but judging by the aesthetic, it can't be good. Fortunately, my party was grateful to have a tank as experienced and talented as me. On the first boss of the expansion, I forget to take aggro, and this poor machinist has a face-to-face encounter with the good lord. This pretty much represents the entire run, but the Tower of Zot was overall pretty good with actually difficult fights and mechanics. It's just a little unfortunate how committed they are to 3 hallways and 3 bosses. It makes the dungeons feel very formulaic, and I was hoping they'd ditch the model. But the good news is that when Endwalker is doing new things, it normally does them pretty well, which is why it is insane that they added yet another boring, empty snowfield with literally nothing in it. Oh, except the brilliant, fun, engaging, outdated quest design that's older than me. Like this one, where you have to chase after a child that's running away, an experience I'm sure the greater Final Fantasy community loves and enjoys. The child escaped your grasp yet again. Though this may be construed as a particularly tiresome endeavor, remember that he is only a child and knows no better. You should find him before he comes to harm. And just when you think this masterpiece of a zone can't get any worse, they cut your health down to a fraction and give you 3 abilities that do nothing, forcing you through a required stealth section without a quest marker. There's no health regen, you have to scavenge for medpacks on a timer, and to top off this fun and engaging quest, you have to crawl to the finish, very slowly, and if by some fucking disaster you die and have to do it again, say goodbye to half an hour of your life. I completed the quest and dinged level 84 with my newly diagnosed case of PTSD. Objectively speaking, In From the Cold is the worst quest in the entire game. So that's why I'm in Dungeon 2 on a fucking train here to let out my anger on some innocent civilians. The Tower of Babel, another tower? Okay, is a fantastic dungeon. I love the sense that you're really going somewhere, from the train at the start to all the unique elevators. The first boss doesn't even target you at first, he just kills this old dude. After you fight your way up some elevators, the second boss has you switching between being a frog and being an accurate depiction of 5'11", and honestly, I'd rather be the frog. I feel like this clip of me standing directly in a giant laser beam really shows off my skill, really represents my prowess. At the top of the tower, you can see the final boss in the distance, and it really shows how much care went into making each area of the dungeon distinct. He actually has multiple phases, and it's a really cool fight, not to mention he drops some boots. Fortunately, I'm a skilled crafter with no life, and I turned it into some Luncheon toad leather. Epic. I then skip a cutscene and find myself on the moon. Yes, that one. I react appropriately as I take in the beautiful atmosphere. Endwalker has a lot of moments where the music and visuals just make you sit back and take everything in, especially when you skip cutscenes and just kinda end up in random places. However, my moment of tranquility is interrupted when I walk up to a slime that grows arms and gives me the jump scare of my fucking life. I breathe. It's gonna be okay. I call somebody a redditor, and then make my way up this cool tower, still just soaking in the atmosphere. That is before literally 2 seconds pass and this guy commits suicide in front of me. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Those are some pretty colors, and that's enough for me. This golden dog tells me to chase after it, so I do, and God, you are not safe, my friend. And you get to ride it! Best expansion 10 out of 10, that poor, poor dog. I still have no idea where I'm going, but this is when I skip a cutscene and find myself standing in front of Satan himself. Oh. So I got some Chinese food, and what a brilliant decision it was to keep my mic on and open the bag just right next to it. Only an intellectual would forget he did that and give himself tinnitus by playing that exact audio clip at max volume like a week later. When I finally get into the fight, we immediately have somebody disconnect. That effectively means he's gone forever. Great work, guys. Round of applause. We can't kick him for 5 minutes, so we sit here and we wait. And then we start finding a new person and wait even more. Incredible. My favorite part of the wait was when I went to get a drink of water, and then, and only then, did we have 8 people ready to fight Zodiark, except I was drinking water. So they started it without me. Endwalker is really turning up the difficulty with these boss battles, and it shows in the best way possible. When Phase 2 starts, I can tell that something is wrong. There's an issue here. Then I realize he's casting an attack that I have no idea how to handle. In the distance, I can see patterns of stars. I try to memorize them and figure out what the mechanic is. It's moments like these that I love, trying to map out an attack. Zodiark did not beat us once, nor did he beat us twice. It was only on the 4th fucking attempt, 45 minutes later, that we finally managed to overcome him. It was at this point that I actually made an attempt to care about the story, so he kills himself and I'm clearly unhappy. Then I got jump scared. Again, they did an Undertale jump scare and it actually got me. So I'm not gonna lie, things aren't looking good. My pretty colors are gone and it's time for everybody's favorite part of a story, filler! I actually like this zone aesthetically, a weird rainbow carrot lab where mouse people do things. And though Final Fantasy XIV is ultimately a linear story, here's where I'm given an incredibly important choice, one that will shape the story and the characters and the world around me for the rest of the expansion. Which carrot will I choose? The unassuming orange carrot, the peculiar looking blue carrot, the vibrant yellow carrot, or the ominous crimson carrot? With bravery in my heart and a fire in my soul, I immediately clicked the crimson carrot. The soft texture and redolent aroma of this crimson creation belie its staggering weight. The excessive length and girth only compound the mystery, leaving you perplexed as to the true nature of this carrot. And with that out of the way, this zone is horrible to quest through. Just so much busy work and running back and forth and doing nothing of importance. No dungeons, no cool fights. The only thing that stuck out to me was shooting this mouse with a piece of cheese, and that's about it. In many ways, Final Fantasy XIV has worse quest design than the games that pioneered its genre, and Endwalker changed none of it. There is no variety in the things you do, and truth be told, any variety they add is underdeveloped, mediocre, or just terrible. You might be asking, Tempokin, my love, my sweet, if these quests are so terrible, what do you do to take away the pain? Get the edge off. And I'm happy to announce that, give me the confetti, I do it through my first sponsorship ever, heroin. I'm kidding, it's Audible. Ad time. You already know what Audible is. They've got thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, and way more. I actually reached out to them, not the other way around, because I've been legitimately using their service for the past year, especially while I quested through Endwalker. Right now, I'm listening to Dune because I want to catch up on it before I watch the newly released movie. You can actually hear it in the background of all my game audio, which was just fantastic for editing. You can sign up for a free trial and support my channel using my link, audibletrial.com/deesnuts. That's audibletrial.com/deesnuts. I don't know why they let me pick my own link. Jeff Bezos, please don't terminate my contract. I am so sorry. Ad over. Then this happened, and my game crashed. 3 hours later, I logged back in, and this is when I really took a look around the cities added in the expansion. Old Sharlayan and Razathan. Old Sharlayan really grabbed me in the trailer, and I spent a lot of time just walking around, harassing people. One place I was really excited to see was the library, and it is as grand as they made it seem, though it's a shame you can't explore all of it. Razathan really blew me away though. Every city in Final Fantasy XIV is kind of white or brown or gray, and that does have its appeal, but Razathan really stands out with how colorful it is. You can tell the designers had a lot of fun modeling this place and making things pop, and I'm pretty excited to spend time here as the expansion goes on. Which brings us to our third dungeon, where it's burning to the fucking ground like everything I love. However, before I can start, somebody gets disconnected and I am subjected yet again to Square Enix's trademarked 5-minute wait time. So I decided to get to know my party members by challenging Prox Eon to a game of rock, paper, scissors. She makes the unfortunate mistake of picking paper. With vengeance, I swiftly counterattack by picking scissors. Then Ceres Victoria fucking cleans me by picking fireball. Can't win them all. I love that they use the city as a dungeon with the citizens transforming in front of your eyes. It's such a unique twist and really captures the end of the world. There's urgency here, and I really like that. And though originally I would have said it was too easy, I can't really say that when I consistently am the only one to eat shit to mechanics. That being said, I think this is the weakest dungeon of the entire expansion. It's not bad, the fights just aren't that interesting once the big twist is over, especially the final one. This is like a mid-boss. Then I pick up the weighty crate. Glad the animators are really sweating it out in the studio for this one. I also found this cube in the middle of the ocean with nothing on it. Oh, and since we're here, you and me, on this romantic cube in the middle of the sea, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. It's free and it really helps out smaller channels like mine. Skip a cutscene and now I'm here. Welcome to Elpis, a very pretty zone that apparently has the answers that will stop the world from ending. Besides being pretty, there's not much to it. I have a quest where I go talk to people with a liberal arts student, and oh my god, is that a villain from a previous expansion becoming your ally? What? They've never done that before. Then I fight Venat and she does this. I kill some scary purple plant monsters and then we go into Dungeon 4. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't have much footage of this dungeon, except for when the incident happened. For the first time in my fucking life, a gunblade actually dropped in a dungeon. I asked for it very politely. Then I ask again, and this fucking ninja who got us wiped earlier won't loot on the damn sword. You'll then see him get the entire party wiped, literally 30 seconds into the boss battle. Thank you, ninja. Anyway, I finally got the sword and it looks incredible. After that, it's time for more filler quests. I have to go examine every single field in this stupid town. But it's not just stupid, it's big. So now I have to find 8 random NPCs that are just, you know, somewhere. I give a troll a fruit, get blacked, and get the sick fucking B-roll shot. Then this happens. What the fuck? So I guess the plan is we're gonna take this rocket ship into God's holy land and go ask for help, which leads me into the 5th dungeon. If you're wondering why it took so little time in the script to get here, it's because there really was nothing of value worth talking about in this entire zone gameplay-wise, which is a real shame. Here's the thing, I'm fine with MMO busy work, I can live with it. But Endwalker is the big finale of Final Fantasy XIV's ongoing story, and it's a good finale too. But at level 88, I'm running around checking pumpkin fields? No matter the context, this is mundane busy work at the very end of your decade-long story, I'm sorry. But this dungeon more than makes up for it, facing off against past villains in fun fights, getting dragged down into the Sea of Crystal. It's a really cool dungeon that I'm excited to play again. However, it was not without its failures. Now, as I mentioned before, Endwalker squished a lot of numbers, which I think was a really good change. However, when Amon the Undying started casting Curtain Call, I ignored the mechanics and took 10 million damage. At the end of the dungeon, I encounter Hydaelyn, God herself, and she's hot, like really hot. Hydaelyn wants to test our might or some shit, so I log into r/atheism and type an essay, destroying the Christian faith with my greasy Redditor hands. If only it was that easy. Make no mistake, this is my favorite trial in all of Endwalker. The music, banger. The fight, difficult. The boss, very attractive. It took me 60 whole seconds before we got decimated by her, which I deemed as a privilege. When we scraped our way to phase 2 by destroying her white woman crystals, I suddenly found every one of my allies dead on the floor, and well, this isn't good. Hydaelyn took 6 long attempts, and it was so cool improving and learning alongside my party. I know in a few weeks everyone will know her attacks like the backs of their hands, but it really got me invested in the fight, and I think they did a fantastic job of making it feel like both a duel against God and a celebration of 14 as a whole. So then I did this. After that, I got pretty interested in what the fuck was happening, so I actually went back and read the quest to see what I had missed, and I'm not gonna lie, I still have no idea what's going on. So I watch an unskippable cutscene, jump on the rocket ship, and arrive in the Sea of Stars. Earlier in this video, I said there were moments in Endwalker where you just have to sit back and soak it in. This is mainly what I was referring to. The Sea of Stars is a gorgeous area, and more than makes up for the bland, uninteresting snowy field from before. A lot of people write off MMOs for their pacing, their monetization, and the ways they use their social elements, and I'd agree with a lot of the criticisms. I think it's easy to view them less as an experience and more as just something to do when you're bored, a time sink. But I think this exact moment gave me a lot more respect for 14 and genuinely got me excited for what was to come. On top of this, you'll notice I'm mere moments away from reaching level 90. I want to reach it in a unique way so I can put it in the video. I thought about doing Mahjong since that's in the game for some reason, but I decided to do PvP instead. I thought it would be fun to hit max level by killing some poor, innocent white mage, and it's not something I'd ever really... Are you fucking kidding me? So, I forgot. Then when you find a new area, you get Discovery XP, and I was planning to wait right there, but it deemed this little tiny patch of land as a new area, so I guess that's how I hit level 90. I immediately introduced the malformed Dragonette to my Potency 1200 AoE. He doesn't like it. The entire Sea of Stars zone is built around you making your way further and further up, trying to get to the dungeon at the top, with the music growing and layering as you ascend. These last portions of Endwalker use the music to set an atmosphere, and they do a fantastic job. I've talked about it a little in this video, but Final Fantasy has always had some of the best music in gaming, and 14 is no exception. But it really shines here. There's a lot of space for it to play out as you walk up the terrible looking low poly crystal staircase, and even as somebody who half paid attention to the story, I was moved. This ending is really, really good, and it's a shame you have to slog through so much filler and poor design to get to it. Not just in Endwalker, but in past expansions, and worst of all, A Realm Reborn. A lot of Final Fantasy XIV fans like to shrug off the nightmare that is getting to the expansions, but when over half of your story is deemed by everybody to be unbearable, when you've learned nothing about quest design, when you continuously patch out parts of your story, and still have people quitting on their way to your new content, can you really say it's worth it? These are my thoughts, my truth. As somebody who got burnt out on terrible writing and gets told off by people who herald the story as a masterpiece, but only after trudging through years of worthless, uninteresting content. But in a moment like this, I can put those thoughts aside. When the pieces fall into place and the terrible formulaic design is out of the way, I can't criticize it that harshly. I pick up the final quest, Endwalker, and break your immersion completely. We're going to Limsa. For this entire expansion, you've seen me rocking the same outfit, and I look cute as fuck, but this is no fit for battle. Now, the sunglasses that I have on my logo cost 5 real-world dollars, so that's not happening. This is it, your punished dark fit. By all objective means, absolutely worse than what I had on. But it cost me like 2 million gil, and I'm wearing it, so fuck off. The Dead Ends is my favorite dungeon in the expansion. It's not even close. The visual design, bosses, and even the trash mobs are all really good. The first boss summons wind, which seems okay at first, but when Caustic Grebulov dominated all 4 of us in 15 seconds, I realized that, it wasn't. When it happened again, we got to theory crafting and pretty soon had his attacks figured out. After that, we played the roles of judge, jury, executioner, and a dead dragoon on the fucking floor and perfected him with technique and talent. Then we end up on a battlefield that almost gave me a seizure. Seriously, the flashing lights, I would not be surprised if those get patched out. But it's okay because this next boss is fantastic. It's basically just dodging without any real mechanics, but it's just so much fun. And he has an attack called No Future, which does damage to all Final Fantasy players in real life. Like, holy shit, and the cool design keeps coming with the last area. Earlier in the video, I criticized 14 having every dungeon be 3 hallways with 3 bosses, and I stand by that criticism. But Mr. Yoshi P, if you're gonna keep doing it, this dungeon should be the standard. Then we beat this Sphinx thing. I'm still a little lost, but it was a good fight. Anyway, zoom pan jump cut. This is your moment. The final boss. It was the liberal arts student. She was evil all along, and oh no, she's hot. Also, I'm not gonna lie to you, there are some very poor animations in this scene, like Hatsune Miku SFM animations. Like, they are not okay. Anyway, then the fucking dragon from Stormblood breaks through a crack in the universe, and they somehow managed to make it boring by having the cool-ass dragon spout exposition. Even right before the final boss, these characters are just tripping over themselves, explaining the plot to you in the most boring way possible. But you know what? I don't care. This arena is fantastic, and the final boss is as climactic as you'd expect. Unfortunately, it would be 45 minutes before I got to fight it, so I just kinda hung out here on the dragon's back. Really took me out of it. I jumped around for a bit, then I started playing with the photo mode, took some really cool ones. You can actually see me continuously shaking the camera here since I didn't know how to turn off the battle effects. Just genius. Played around with the filters. This one's my favorite. Really helps my psychosis. Did this for a bit, like a 5-year-old. And oh my god, the queue popped. Please let me fight. I really like the final boss. It was really hard to get footage of it since these planets kept spawning in front of the camera, but you know, gotta crack a solar system to make a YouTube video. My party was a bloodthirsty pack of animals playing at 3 in the morning. In fact, I was the worst one. I died like 5 times, and I'm proud because I popped the limit break that saved everybody. I'm a hero. When we enter Phase 2, all the other characters lend me their energy, and everybody gets this huge buff, and it makes no sense, but I don't care. I think if I criticize this game anymore, I'll legitimately get a bomb in my mailbox. I think what amazes me is in the phase that's supposed to be impossible to lose, I somehow, by some fucking miracle, by some grace of God, walk off the side of the platform and die. Really loving my 50% reduced damage, just wonderful. Anyway, we beat the bird on our first try! Then the dragon turns back into this blonde guy from the trailers, didn't know they were the same, the more you know. Now I have a confession to make to all of you. I'm such a bitch, and it makes me so sad. I can sit here and pretend I'm above the story of this game, that I'm an analytical YouTube reviewer, but I'm such a bitch. Because if there's one trope I love, it's when two characters of equal strength get so tired of fighting that they throw down their weapons and have a fist fight. And god damn, they did it really well. I took so many clips of this fight, it's so cool, and I hate that I think it's so cool, I really do. But here's the thing, the big mistake the developers made was thinking that I, the player, would consider this Empire scum an equal, but what they didn't take into account was that the Tempokin genocide run stops for nobody. Despite my criticisms, I'm man enough to admit it. Endwalker is a fantastic expansion, the best one yet. And then you have to run around and talk to 8 NPCs. God fucking damn it, Square Enix.